I'd like to call to order the Germantown School District Building Committee. Time is 6 p.m. Roll call, Borden. Here. Loth. Here. Pollack, I am here. As of today, as of earlier, we do not have a community representative. Item 3, and we'll talk about the community representative in a little bit. Item 3, agenda revisions and approval.
Move to approve the agenda revisions.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, approval of the minutes from September 13th, 2021.
Motion to approve September 13th meeting minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Reports and updates. Director of Buildings and Grounds, Fund 10 Projects and Facility Services, Mr. Erickson.
Hello, how's it going tonight?
Good, thank you.
Can you hear? Oh, there it is. I guess I gotta lean forward. First, I'd like to report on a county line sidewalk installation. DeAngelis Construction has installed a small sidewalk on the south side of the building and going into the new entry, the new wing on that side. This is so that the staff can have access during the winter time and not having to trudge through snow in order to get there from the parking lot. Total cost of the project came to about $3,500. It is completed now. The landscaping will be done in spring. Once it thaws out, we'll get some grass planted there and get everything up to par. Any questions? Yes.
I think it was a fire escape issue also, wasn't it?
No, we had sidewalk all the way around, and the sidewalk actually would go out to the drop road from that exit.
Okay.
So we did have fire exit availability. It was more for teacher access.
Okay, very good.
District boiler tune-ups. We've had Butters Fitting in the district. They're tuning up all 15 of the thermal solution boilers for the upcoming heating season. They did discover at Rockfield that we have a blown burner on one of them, so they're in the process of ordering the parts for that one. In the meantime, I've turned all the HVAC systems on 24/7 to make sure the building stays at temperature and is ready for school the next day. They're expecting the new burner parts to be in within a couple weeks. The cost for the burner replacement is about $5,000. Ahern has been contacted to come in and tune up the 3 boilers at MacArthur Elementary School as well. Any questions? GSF cleaning report. There was a meeting held on October 26th to discuss on ways to improve the cleaning and communication with staff within the buildings. GSF was instructed to follow up with resolutions to all the complaints and emails to staff. I know they've completed some. I'm going to continue to get after them to make sure that they respond back to staff so that staff have an understanding that these reports that they're having are taken care of and somebody is looking at them as well and responding to them. We do have another meeting set up for tomorrow afternoon, and we're going to discuss what the custodial staff, day staff feel are the 3 most important things at each building that they'd like to see improved upon as well. We're going to work with GSF to get these taken care of. In addition, we have the winter season coming up for sports here at Germantown High School. They will be provided with diagrams tomorrow of what the expectation for all the setups are and how to communicate and to know that they have to be aware of when events are going on. Somebody has to be able to be available to respond to any needs within those events. Any questions?
Do we have a sense of what might come up as some of those areas for improvement?
I have the list. I haven't put it together and written it down, but I did reach out to all the custodial staff. They have sent back to me some of their concerns. One of them is communication, trying to break that communication barrier down. It's very hard and difficult for them to communicate with the employees that are coming in because most of them don't speak English. So we got to come up with a better method or a way that they can actually get some communication going on between their staff and our staff. Another one is just some housekeeping issues. A lot of times our staff come into the custodial closets and they're just a mess. So they're a little frustrated with that. Another thing is they come in the morning and they're kind of surprised sometimes with some of the stuff that isn't being completed. They actually are going through and inspecting it. I want to work on them, making sure that they're being communicated to, that if something couldn't get done the night before, our staff is aware of it, so they can either clean it up or make sure that it's ready for school to start. Obviously, when we have extra duties that they're taking care of, we understand that they may not get all the cleaning done, but the extra duties are the higher priority. But they also need to communicate to us as well what's not getting done. Another point that we're going to discuss is possibly if some of the cleaning that their staff should be doing and we're picking up, looking at justifying, saying, okay, our staff worked X amount of hours taking care of this. This is the cost of the district for this. We're not going to pay you this month for that charge. They've been here now 2.5, 3 months. They should be starting to get things under control.
As far as communication, when the staff sends an email, how long does it take for the turnaround before they get a response?
I'm expecting it within 24 hours.
And what is it right now?
They've been when they respond back, it's been within 24 hours, but it's still hit and miss on whether they're hitting everybody or not. One of their managers has been out for the last week and a half. He had a baby in the family, so I think that's part of the reason they haven't been responding for the most recent issues. So I can kind of understand that one, but it still doesn't excuse it.
Excuse me, I don't understand that. They should have backfilled that position, that critical position, who's bilingual, especially when we have the vast majority of our custodians are Spanish speaking. Presuming there's a bilingual person on staff in the building whenever we've got our Spanish speaking custodians here. Is that accurate or no?
We have one night manager that is bilingual, and we have the area manager, I believe he is, that is bilingual as well. So they both typically are present, one or the other is present.
Okay.
Victor, who is the night supervisor, he's bilingual. He goes to and visits every school. Clinton, who is I think he's the area manager. He is bilingual as well. He is in the district doing work as well almost every evening, but he's also the one that's out with the baby. So I do agree that they should be backfilling those. That's just as important as backfilling when they're short-staffed, in my opinion. They either need to be filling those positions or providing overtime. So that's also going to be part of the discussion as well. And that overtime should not be charged to the district if they're short-staffed. They need to still be performing the duties and tasks which they're under contract for.
Right. And speaking of the contract in the MSA, do we have any service level agreements in terms of you must, not you shall, you must respond within 24 hours in terms of when a ticket is put in for a request, custodial request?
I don't know if there's anything in the contract on that.
Okay, that could be an opportunity. And finally, I'm looking around this beautiful PAC here, and our signage for life safety are not bilingual. I'm concerned that we are opening ourselves up for an OSHA violation, because if you've got staff that is Hispanic, you've got to have bilingual signage.
No, taken.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on GSF? Nope. Germantown High School pool update. On September 22nd, a walkthrough was performed again with Lippert Floor Tile representatives and outside grout manufacturer. They did an inspection. They wanted to get another thorough opinion from the other grout manufacturer to why things were occurring. They did kind of come up with the same consensus that it's a grout issue. Kind of waiting to see what still happens with it. And then on October 14th, another walkthrough was taken, and the Mapai grout people walked through, and they came up with the same consensus that the grout seems to be failing, and that's what's causing water to get underneath the tile, delaminating it and causing the mastic to break down. I will plan on following up with Lippert Floor Tile by the end of this week and CD Smith to see if they've heard any further information on it or where they're at in the process. Our whole plan is to get this taken care of so that they can get the corrections done when we're shut down during spring for our annual maintenance.
Can this wait till spring? Can this wait till spring?
Yes, I think it can. It'll just, especially depending on what they come up with for the solution. The solution may be if it is a grout issue, they're gonna have to rip up the, probably easiest for them to rip up the entire floor anyhow, and then just replace the flooring and the tile and put in different grout. Germantown High School surge protector. As you can see in the pictures, the surge protector on the Germantown High School main board, main distribution board has actually failed. You can see the 3 lights on it, and those 3 phases have failed. It has been reported that Nelco Electric can replace it for about $3,150, but in order to do it, they have to turn off the feeder going into that panel. They said it'll take them about 4 hours to do it. The parts are on order. It'll be done on a non-school day. The generator should be able to be ran at the same time while they're doing the work and supply power into all the necessary areas that need to be ran while the work is being completed. This is not on a main distribution panel on the new addition. This is still on the older parts of the building, so majority of the building will still have power.
Michael?
How long has it been out, Don?
What's that?
How long has the surge protector been out?
Probably about 4 months now. Our maintenance guy discovered it and we've been trying to get quotes on it. I did get a quote from Steiner Electric, who did the original install. Their quote came in at like $30,000 to do it, but I think they wanted to replace the entire unit. So second electrician that came in and looked at it came in and said that you can just change the modules. So then as a third electrician, I brought in Nelco Electric and they came in the lowest price at $3,150 to change just the modules out.
Okay,
I think that's much more palatable than the 30,000 that was originally quoted.
sure.
Amy Bell window replacement. Some of the Pella windows in rooms 128 and 130 at Amy Bell School are starting to show some good deterioration and are in need of replacement. I did go out and get 3 quotes. I did ask Verhalen just so that you would have a good idea of what the Verhalen replacement would be. Now, we're not trying to stay away from wood clad windows though. For Verhalen to have done the work, it would have been $11,212. More Construction, who I think has got the highest number, really didn't want the work. They're pretty swamped right now, so he came in at $30,000. Milwaukee Plate Glass came in at $16,780, and Lurie Glass came in at $9,892. I am a little hesitant on how much cheaper Lurie Glass is, but it's my understanding they did do some work here at the schools during the construction project. I am going to double check with the specs of the windows and make sure that they're very good insulated windows. And at this price, if I can get them done and they're great quality window at $9,892, I'll move forward with them.
So these will be aluminum framed windows done?
Yes, aluminum frame with the opening hoppers.
Okay, yeah, it was a little hard to tell from the notes if they were gonna be wood or aluminum.
The only wood ones that were quoted were the Verhalen ones. So the other ones are going to be storefront aluminum thermal panes with operating hoppers in each one.
Okay, great.
Kennedy Middle School roof drain. There was a roof drain leak in room A12A. This has been an ongoing issue for some time. Finally found what the issue was. It was a cracked 90-degree pipe from the original install, it seems like. The pipe has been changed out. We're waiting to see if all leaks have stopped before we close the wall back up. We had to remove a few brick faces in order to get access to the pipe to replace it. So once we know that that's sealed up, we'll replace the brickwork or put some nice decorative cover over it so it looks good. And hopefully we've got this issue resolved and can put it to rest. The Bellick Plumbing and Heating came in and they did the work. Kennedy Middle School dishwasher booster heater. The booster heater at Kennedy Middle School in the kitchen needed to be replaced. The heater that was in there was an instantaneous heater and it had clogged up over time from calcium in the hard water. Shelley Judas actually worked with Hobart for the installation, And their first numbers came in at, I'd like to say somewhere around 30,000 for total. At that point, we decided that they needed to at least get a few more electrical pricing on it. So we had them quote out a couple other electricians. Nelco Electric actually came in and quoted it for $10,906. The work was rather kind of extensive. As you can see in the pictures, there was a buck booster that had to be added. The reason that we added the buck booster is that in order to provide the amount of amps for this electric heater that was needed to boost the hot water to 180 degrees for this dishwasher, we had to run 480 volts there. There was some existing conduit that at 480 volts with the amperage that needed, we could run the wires through, but we needed to get to 480 amps. So this was our 480 volts. So this booster transformer was added to get us to 480 volts so we could run smaller conduit through the existing, smaller wire through the existing conduits. The nice thing about going this way, when it comes time for the dishwasher to be replaced, the dishwasher will have its own booster heater within it. And then this electric heater that was just installed can be taken offline, and the power for the new dishwasher will already have been run. The dishwasher, I think, is due to be replaced about the same time that the water heater would be done with its life expectancy. And you can see in the pictures of the booster heater that was actually installed underneath as well in the sink. So in addition to that, in September, the G-Wing water heater needed to be replaced as well. The heater was an 8-year-old heater and it started to leak. The Bellick Plumbing also did the work on that, and I believe it was right around $9,500 and some dollars, if I remember right. It was questioned on the vouchers. So because we didn't have a meeting in October, I'm at least letting you know now that that water heater did get replaced in the later part of September.
So just to be clear, the Bellick work on vouchers is for a different water heater. It's not for the dishwasher.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
It's funny how the price came in really close.
Real close, yeah. This was actually a gas water heater and it's in the boiler room.
Okay.
Any questions?
Okay, we'll move on to item B, Commercial Consultants Group Report.
All right, in your background, I gave you a rundown of what Commercial Consultants performs for the district. It's anywhere from roof inspections, which Ryan Oswani is here to answer any questions if you have any for him. He comes in, he walks through all our roofs, he does an inspection on it each fall, then he evaluates what he sees, lets us know which areas we would be doing it in the following summer for recommendations. Then he would put together the bid, and we would bid out the work and then follow through afterwards with a bid that goes out for the materials. He would give us a recommendation on who we would go with as well as part of his services. While he's walking through any of the buildings and he notices any other issues that need to be taken care of, he also brings those to our attention as well. One of the things that he did notice, well, he didn't notice the chimneys needing repair. We noticed that when we were walking through the buildings on our own. But I did bring him in at one point in time to look at Amy Bell's windows. We had a continual leaking issue at Amy Bell with a number of the windows. Maintenance staff attempted several times to try to determine where the leaks were coming from. In fact, they even caulked up a couple of the crack lines that they thought it would was coming in from. They actually caulked up the windows. The windows still continued to leak. So at that point, I brought Ryan Oswani in to take a look at the windows and help us determine where the leak was coming from. At that point, Ryan discovered that the header plates were actually starting to rust, and as they were rusting, they were expanding, which was causing the face brick to push out, creating a small hairline leak underneath the face brick that was getting into these windows. So that's why he got involved with that project. And then we brought in Bolton Brothers to take care of the rebuilding the header plates and put in proper drainage into the face brick so it doesn't occur again. We've been working with Ryan with CCG for a long time. I like to say probably about 20 years or better. They were working with them prior to my taking the position on now, which has been over 13 years. Questions for Ryan for any of his services, or do you have anything you'd like to add?
Oh, so thanks for having me in. I'm happy to, touch on anything that Don just mentioned or answer any specific questions anyone has.
Well, I have one question, and
Sure.
that's going to be after we get to the next section. If we're using you as a consultant, because we did the referendum, that Don's going to be talking about the referendum report, I think that I'm going to request that we go through every building and look at what are all our priorities that we need to have done and utilize you if we have you under contract, correct?
Yes.
And then have Don report to this committee on all the issues that are wrong with all the buildings and prioritize them so we can start thinking about what we need to spend and where we need to allocate money here coming up.
Are you including issues with the existing referendum buildings or just?
Well,
just
he's
district-
talking about, he
district-wide?
did a nice job on the referendum report that's coming up. But since you're standing here, I'm asking the question now and saying that I'm going to request that coming up after this next report.
Yeah, so what I go through every spring, every fall, so I'm due to go through all the district roofs next week. So with that, I update the databases, look at how things have been aging, make sure the roofs are prepared to go through the winter, so there's no issues, no classroom disruptions, no leaks presented. So we just want to get those things buttoned up for winter, and I actually then come back through next spring as well. So after next week, I will put together, the long-range capital budget, a 10-year outlook, where the aging looks like now with all the assets district-wide, and that capital plan going forward out 10 years. That's something I do annually.
Right, and I'm not just talking about roofs, I'm talking about everything. And that's why I'm getting to Don and then
Okay.
also with you to get a good report on the roofing at where we're at, where we stand.
Okay.
So, thank you.
All right. And as far as the Main Street, that's not a database we've ever put together or built for the district, something that's been asked of us. But if that's something that you're looking at doing, that's something we can add to what we're doing currently.
Thank you.
Now, your areas of expertise are building envelope and hardscapes, correct?
Correct. On the hardscape side, we do some parking work, but a lot of it is on plaza decks and parking structures. Where there's more of a waterproofing component to it. But the most of what I do is roofing and walls and the roofing and wall integrations and how those two components interact.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank you, Ryan, for your work and your services. I think we do need the help, and I'm not sure that our maintenance staff has the time to do all that you're doing when you inspect the buildings for us. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Any other questions? I'd stick
Aaron?
around just for a couple minutes.
Sure. Yeah,
after
anybody,
this.
feel free to reach out anytime if someone has anything on the side you want answers on.
All right, next is item C, referendum building report. Mr. Erickson.
Yes, as I reported in the district that we actually do have a lot of great things that came out of the referendum. We now have a track, we have a pool, we have a state-of-the-art tech ed areas. We have additions to all the elementary schools along with the Kennedy Middle School addition. It really has been a wonderful experience to have seen Germantown grow in this way. Germantown High School and Kennedy Middle School all are practically 100% air conditioned. The high school, the only two areas that are not air conditioned are the boys and girls locker rooms. They're down below. I don't think that that's ever going to be an issue that they're not air conditioned either. Kennedy Middle School, the only thing that's not air conditioned there are gymnasiums. The rest of the building is completely air conditioned. At the elementary schools, we have at least one wing that is air conditioned at each school now. So if we do start getting into an extreme heat situation, we have open spaces within those wings that they can send kids at the unair conditioned areas can go to. In addition, all the cafeterias are air conditioned at the elementary schools. We have LED lighting in a lot of the areas that have been recently remodeled, greatly reducing our maintenance needed for lighting along with our electric bills. We have electrical distribution equipment has been upgraded in all the buildings. Unfortunately, the surge protector here at GHS was done a number of years previous, so that one did not get upgraded during the construction project. So all the buildings are now sprinkled outside of, I think, 8 classrooms at MacArthur Elementary. Every classroom, every space is sprinkled. The only reason those 8 classrooms at MacArthur Elementary didn't get sprinkled is because of the roof lines and how the pipes would have had to been run. It's the older section of the building. If you walk into the classrooms, they actually have hip roof areas. Amy Bell has a new septic system. Septic system at Amy Bell School was a 1978, 79 system. It now has an updated one with plenty of room for expansion. As you know, it's across the street of the building now, so it's not even in an area where the students would be playing or anything like that. The pre-existing field was actually in one of the play fields that all the students were playing in all the time. That's a great improvement as well. MacArthur Elementary has a nice parking lot now on a side, so we have enough parking at that school for all the day staff and the events that are going on within the building. There are still some remaining issues though, however, and I did speak of one, the pool deck at Germantown High School here, that we're still having issues with the tile delaminating and the grout washing out in between the tiles as well. We are working with Lippert Flooring, trying to get this to be repaired, especially during non-use time. County Line School continues to have a leak in the new wing. The roofing and mechanical contractors have been out there several times to try to determine where it is coming from. We can actually see where it's dripping from off of the roof decking. It's still undetermined on how it's getting in. The roofers and the mechanical contractors did just open up the roof to see if they could find out if it was something on the roof line. They did determine that all the insulation and everything underneath leading up to the HVAC unit was dry. So their next step is that they're going to try and cut a hole in the bottom of the HVAC to find out if they can find out where the water's coming from and how it's getting into the building. It is a very small leak, but it is a persistent leak. And once they get the leak finally fixed, the drywall that is dripping on will need to be replaced. The only other item that's really left is the Amy Bell gym floor. It still continues to have some of the mastic breaking down and bubbles forming. I was actually just out there this last week because the bubbles are reappearing now. We're getting into some colder weather, so the floor is starting to shrink. And that's part of when the bubbles appear, because during the warmer weather, the floor is stretched out and you can't see them. I just sent an email to CD Smith asking, and ProStar asking for them to come up with a resolution. ProStar had responded back and that they are asking for another technician to come out and take another inspection on it and see if they can determine what the cause of the issue is that we're having out there. Other than that, a lot of the issues that we've had have been already resolved. Leaks here in the PAC are finally taken care of. To my knowledge, the last number of storms, we haven't had no issues with water infiltrating into this building at all. The last issue was the roof drain on the south side of the PAC up on top was actually completely taken out, redone, and it solved that leak. They did come in here with some hoses and spray down the west wall of the stage prepping area, the prop room, and determined that there were some roofing issues that they did repair and then some cracks within the precast that they caulked up. We haven't had any leaks there since they did that work. Another thing that got taken care of is the Rockfield elevator has been upgraded and brought up to current code. That was kind of an unexpected project that occurred because of the fire sprinkler system that was installed at Rockfield School. We had an issue with a air handling unit, rooftop air handling unit at Kennedy Middle School that has been repaired and is up and functioning properly as well. Any questions?
Is it fair to say that the three issues that are specifically called out here, are those the big three that remain? Obviously, little things might pop up here and there, but those are the.
Yep, these are the big ones. So if they end up having to rip out that entire floor at Amy Bell School and replacing it, that'll be a big project if that's what they end up having to do. They first have to determine what's causing it to bubble. It's not going to do any good to have them come in, replace the floor, only to have it start occurring again within a year.
And Don, that's the flooring in the new gym at
Yeah.
Amy Bell?
Yep, in the new
Okay.
gym.
Not the cafetorium.
Nope.
So the cafetorium has new flooring also, I believe, but it's hard for me to remember all these things.
Correct. The cafetorium has the LVT flooring in there, so that's a luxury vinyl tiles, so that's not having any issues. It's the
Okay.
rubber flooring in the gym that's actually having the issues. One of the things that ProStar thought was water was getting in between the seams and that was causing it to delaminate. A lot of the bubbles aren't even on the seams. So that's their bigger part of it too, is that what's underneath here that's causing the mastic to break down. One of the things that they said that they can do, and I can show you I do have some pictures if you want to see them that I can bring back next month if you'd like to see it. The repair by slicing open the rubber flooring, cleaning it out and putting new mastic under it isn't much better than just leaving the bubbles. The only advantage is that the bubbles will disappear as the rubber expands, but they reappear when the rubber contracts, versus if you put the mastic down, it's an uneven surface that remains there regardless of the heating or cooling season.
Okay.
Do these repairs and or fixes come out of our budget?
These should not. The rubber flooring is still under warranty. The installation isn't, but we've been bugging them long enough that they will be taken care of it.
And Don, as far as LED lighting is concerned, how much do we have? Do we have anything to go yet in the high school here or anywhere?
We have classrooms here at the high school and we have Kennedy Middle School yet. All the elementaries are 100% LED though.
Okay, so you're just working on that year
Yes.
by year? as you
Yep,
can?
approximately $10,000 to $15,000 every year I'll spend on upgrading lighting.
How far out does it go before we're done, do you think? 5 years, 10 years?
I would say 5 years, maybe 7, but I would say 5. It should be doable in 5.
Okay, very good.
The last thing I would have, and I haven't put this all together in my mind, so I'll send you, I'll actually include Brittany because it's kind of money related as well. And I'll copy in the building committee as well. Just to get a sense of, and honestly, it's a little bit more for me in being, well, not new anymore to this role, but just so I can kind of visualize and keep track of things. Getting a sense of, obviously things will break, come up and everything else, but just to try to get an idea of what's upcoming that's critical and any sort of costs associated with that, if possible. Things that might be on the near-term horizon for replacement, upgrade, et cetera. And the reason why the money piece is coming into play is inevitably there's extra money type of things. If we have any extra money, can we take advantage similar to what we did over with the, was it the admin building control panel,
yes.
where we can look ahead a little bit and say, well, you know, we have X amount left that we might be able to go out and see, well, what's coming up next year or within the next couple of years and try to do something similar where we can maybe take advantage of, well, let's take care of it today. In the long run, it saves a couple of bucks here and there, you know, just that sort of thing. So once I can kind of put that together in an email, I'll send it off to everybody, just, and then anybody else can ultimately chime in, but just for awareness.
Okay. Speaking of the admin, they're going to be starting that project this Wednesday. I got word today that they're going to start running the wires this Wednesday. And then once they get the wires ran, probably in a couple of weeks, they're going to start changing out the VAV boxes.
Anything else on the rep?
I would just add the Amy Bell Basin to your outstanding list of referendum, just because it seems to, after the winter and spring comes, that it's washed away. So just to keep that on the list.
Yes, keeping an eye on it. This fall, it looks great though. So it's the best it's looked since the construction project for going into the winter season.
Anything else on the referendum building report?
I just have a question. When it comes to the county line hallway that I had emailed you about a couple weeks ago, was that part, did we do all of the flooring in the schools with the referendum?
That flooring was not done during the referendum. flooring was actually cut as part, once the project got up to so far and we were starting to know that things were gonna be over budget, a lot of the flooring that was proposed to get done did not take place.
So fixing the areas now is kind of piecemeal?
That was, yeah, it'll be, that hallway will be done either this spring, depending on where my budget sits come spring. It'll be done over Easter break if my budget can support it. If it doesn't support it, I do have approximately 20,000 in my budget each year to do flooring. It was actually spent at the high school this year, taking care of some stairwells and some asbestos floor tiling and expansion joints that needed some repairs in the math and English hallways.
So when you talk about that hallway, you're talking about that entire hallway or that section that's
That'll
already
be
up,
that-
that's already lifted?
That'll be that entire lower hallway. That'll
Okay.
be from the ramp all the way down to the other doors. 20,000 will more than cover that. Fortunately, that is non-asbestos mastic and non-asbestos tile in that building.
Okay, but the tile that is lifted already is getting fixed now, correct?
That is correct. It's already done.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, item 6, unfinished business, discussion with possible action, Germantown High School Greenhouse, Phase 1.
I brought this forward as more of an informational than anything. It's part of the resolution. It was supposed to be reported back when and what the funding sources are. So Mark McAllen has came up with some funding to actually get the doors installed as part of Phase 2. The proposal he had received from Moore Construction was $8,686. You can see the sources that he had already got his donations from. And in addition, he would like to donate $4,986 to move forward with the door installation. He has asked though to look at getting a second quote to add a double door there versus a regular 36-inch door to the cafeteria. I think that it would be a wise move to do this. I think that he's going to have a little sticker shock though when he finds out the price of what it's going to cost to do this, because using the existing window there, you don't have to replace any headers. You're not going to have to do much in order to make it to fit for a doorway. In order to open that up, there's going to have to be some shoring. They're going to have to put in new headers, and it's probably going to double the cost of the project. Another thing that we're doing though on December 2nd, we're meeting with Brett, Mark McAllen, I believe John Stokoyak, myself, and CD Smith to kind of walk through what the process should look like for Mark so that he kind of gets an understanding of what is needed if we're going to start moving forward with this. I think one of the first things that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brett, we should really be looking at is the state going to allow this to happen prior to moving forward and saying, okay, we're going to get all these donations to put a greenhouse in there only to submit plans, and the state's going to come along and say, no, we can't do it.
Yeah, and I'll just add as part of Leadership Germantown. It's a bigger group this year. Typically, there's a fair number of people that are part of Leadership Germantown. They take on 1 or 2 service projects. Mr. McClellan presented to the group about the greenhouse project, and so one of the groups had picked up the greenhouse project. So they are spearheading, getting a true project manager in to look at everything that from electricity to plumbing to drainage to permits, like what actually can happen. And the first phase or the first goal of that Leadership Germantown group is to get access to that space. That's by code. So they are that group is willing to help with fundraising, to help with getting outside Germantown resources to help. And so at some point, this really becomes a what I would say a community project versus a school project. Obviously, we have to they have to bring everything back to the board to get approval for each of the phases, but getting in everybody seems to know somebody who could help, but we want to make sure it's done right and to code. So I believe that group that picked this project from Leadership Germantown, they want to come in January to present kind of where they are at this point to the school board. So there'll be more kind of coming, and the first kind of real meeting is happening on, as Don said, December 2nd.
Any questions? Yes.
Hey, Don, what sort of issue would the state have with this?
I, I can't think of any myself, but I'd hate this for us to plan on all of this and then they find out, well, you know, you really can't put a greenhouse in the middle of a courtyard. Uh, I can't think of any reasons that they wouldn't, but I'm not an architect. I'm not familiar with what the state commercial codes would be or anything like that, that would or would not permit it to happen.
So at least initially, if we've got the doors for proper fire escape, this area would be open for students at lunchtime?
Correct. I don't see any issues with that. I think that the only thing that we would have to do is get exit signs, doors, and then pull stations by each door. And that should at least make that space usable for student access.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Don, I would think it would be more of an issue with the local jurisdiction having authority. That would be Germantown Fire. And I would say if you get them to sign off, I would think this would be a fast track forward.
They've already signed, they've already
Okay.
agreed to it. So, and it's just a question of if it's attached to the building, if it's close to the building, they have to put a sprinkler system in. If it's not, they don't have to put the sprinkler system in.
Well, we put a library over at Rockfield. You would think we could do a greenfield. or a
You would
greenhouse
think.
at the high school.
Yep.
So, cool. Thank you.
Anything else on that topic?
Okay.
Item 7, new business, Germantown High School outbuilding.
Included in your packet were some quotes to build a pole barn at Germantown High School for some outside storage. The pole barn would be installed on the south side of the soccer field. There's an open area that is presently not being used. We're looking at installing a 30 by 60 building. You can see the quotes that are there clearly came in at $70,535. Walters came in at $70,107, and Morton came in at $69,900. All three quotes are incredibly close. I was kind of surprised at how close the quotes are, considering that nobody knew the other guys' numbers. The reason we're going with 30 by 60 is that's probably the largest that I know that my budget can support at this point in time and still get us outbuilding. I actually originally quoted for a 30 by 40 or 30 by 60. The difference between the 30 by 40 and the 30 by 60 was about $12,000 to $15,000. We're building the building in a location that we can still add on if additional space is needed. It can either be added on to the west side or even to the south side, because we're going to put it in a location that it can easily be added on and we won't have to rearrange doors or anything on it. It's just a matter of adding it on. The building we're going to build at this point in time will not have a concrete floor. We have had discussions with the tech ed construction classes, and they're willing to work with us to install the floor in phases if needed to be, depending on what the budget will support at the time when we get to that point. It's very much needed storage. As you can see in one of the pictures, you can see some of the equipment we'd be looking at trying to store in there. And then as well, we would be storing some needed materials, mostly being traffic bond, diamond mix, and topsoil within the building as well. It would not be heated. It would not have any electricity or anything at this point in time.
Any questions?
Did we lose an outbuilding like this as a result of the referendum?
We did not. That was
Didn't-
never in the plans.
Okay, we just never had this before.
Correct.
It's a nice looking building, so I think we should go ahead with it.
Well, I'd entertain a motion.
Mike, you
Sure.
got it?
Motion to bring forward with a positive recommendation to the November 15th, 2021 Finance Committee to award Morton Buildings a contract not to exceed $52,409. Award Brainerd Excavating Incorporated a contract not to exceed $17,491 for a total of $69,900 funded from the Building and Grounds Fund 10 budget to build a 30-foot by 60-foot pole barn at the Germantown High School.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item B, committee citizen replacement.
It's come to my attention that Mark Kinky has resigned his position from being on the building committee. Per board policy, as you can see, that the committee is supposed to have one community at large member. So I just thought I'd bring this to the attention of the committee.
And so for anybody who might be interested, is there a defined process to show interest?
I don't know if there's a defined process, but I would say that they could contact you or Don if we can put something out on our website as well.
Yeah, if we could put something out on the website, then you can list one of us as the main contact.
Contact, yep.
And then we'll bring interested parties forward.
Sounds good.
Any questions, comments on that, other than thanking Mr. Kinky for his time that he spent? Obviously, I didn't get to know him extremely well with a shorter term on board so far, but I know he's probably dedicated quite a number of hours over the years and on that position. So certainly I thank him. I can't speak for the rest of the committee or the board, but I would assume they also would thank them.
Yes, I thanked Mark via email, thanked him for his service, and that was it. I didn't thank him publicly. I think Mark was a great fit because he was in the iron and steel trades. And of course, I don't think the building committee can be fussy, but it would be nice if we had somebody that was in the building trades or something like that, because it is a building committee. So, whatever that might mean, I'm not sure. It could be, construction, it could be electrical, I guess it could be plumbing, but something, having to do with the building trades, I think would be nice if we can convince a citizen to come forward and join us for these wonderful building committee meetings, wonderfully run building committee meetings. All of you can start laughing now. That was humor.
We'll go Mr. Soderberg, I'm sorry, Mr. Medved first.
Yeah, I just want to publicly acknowledge Mark. I appointed him many, many years ago, and he went through the referendum. He went through, I believe, Act 32 for us, and he's done a lot of wonderful things here. And his Mark is still here. He's done a great job. He'll be missed. He's a good softball dad. And it's nice getting someone local, to your point, Mike, that has that expertise. He did a wonderful job for us, and he'll be missed. Thank you.
I'd echo what the other board members have said. I got to work with Mark pretty much from the beginning of me taking over the building committee. So we worked closely together for many, many years, and he has done a very outstanding job helping us through the referendum. The Act 32, as Bob said, he was an integral part of all of that, and we spent a lot of time going tours of the buildings while they were under construction. He dedicated a lot of time, and we're thankful for all of his efforts. He will be missed, and I agree with what Mr. Lowe said. Having someone with building experience or building knowledge, just to understand the terms of the things that we're talking about, would be helpful. But we will open it up to the public, and we will try and find a replacement. And appreciate all that Mark has done.
Anything else? I will entertain one last motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Building committee ends at 6:49.